Today we are Team Account, I'm Wesley Choi. I'm going to present on the Untitled Sound. And this is the problem review. Allow a tuning fork or another single oscillator to vibrate against a sheet of paper with contact between them. The frequency of the resonant sound can have a lower frequency than a tuning fork's fundamental frequency. Investigate this phenomenon. This is our concept. So first of all, we have to know how does the tuning fork vibrate. So when the tuning fork is hit by a hammer, it causes a solid collision, and it causes the tuning fork vibrating this way. And the vibration of the tuning fork can be divided into two processes, which is the compression and rarefaction. And that's why the longitudinal wave obeys, and that's why we can hear the sound. And so you can see that when the tuning fork vibrates in compression, the sensitivity of the air particle inside the tuning fork is much rarer. And when it processes in the rarefaction, the air particles outside the tuning fork is much. So that's why the air particles will be denser or smaller since the time, and the longitudinal wave will produce. And in the tuning fork, except fundamental frequency, harmonic sound and subharmonic sound is produced when the tuning fork is vibrating. For example, when the tuning fork is vibrating, for example, if the fundamental frequency of the tuning fork is 440 Hz, and it can cause the subharmonic sound of 220 Hz and 147 Hz, and the harmonic sound will be 880 Hz. And so when we put it in this case, when the tuning fork has a weak contact with the paper, and the paper will not remain in contact with the fork, and the paper is driven away by the tap which it receives, and the tuning fork will rebound off the paper because it has a weak contact with it. And so the tuning fork only hits the piece of paper after every second of the vibration. That's why the undertone sound will be amplified. And except this, this equation as we represent what the frequency of the undertone, and F0 equals to the fundamental frequency of the fork, and the number of period with the fork vibrate. And N equals to the number of period with the fork vibrate when it is shape again. So this equation shows that how the undertone sound frequency. And except this, when the paper have a contact with the tuning fork, we can assume that the paper has a mass on the vibration of the tuning fork. And this equation, this is the Euler equation, shows the free vibration of the tuning fork R, and this is the boundary condition. And when we subscribe a mass on it, which is paper, and the boundary condition will change as you can see in here, and this is the vibration, and after that, the frequency equation, by supporting the boundary condition in this, we can have this equation. And this equation shows that when we put this equation into the mathematical to form an analytical solution of the frequency equation, and the relationship between this line and frequency, which means an F graph, is shown below. And we can see that this thing. And the graph indicates the subscriber mass on the tuning fork. It will generate several frequencies. And in our experiment, we are testing the frequency lower than the fundamental frequency, which is around. And so we maximize the simulation curve in around 550 Hz to 485 Hz. And so that we can build this. And when we just show the frequency of this frequency, and we can see a linear equation like this. And the crossing point is the fundamental frequency of the tuning fork without the subscribing house. And this is the theory of the the next step, we are going to be talking about the preliminary experiment. So this is our experiment concept. And we will vibrate the tuning fork, and the experiment process, we will vibrate the tuning fork with a buffer hammer, and we put this with a sound meter, and we also supply our A4 paper which we contact or totally subscribe, and we will analyze it from that. And after that, we will use the experiment result to do a SDI has between the short time for each transform. And it provides the audio indexable shorter segment or equivalent, and it will compute for each transform separately of each shorter segment. And we will find the relationship between frequency, amplitude, and time. And this is the result. And we can show that figure 1 and figure 3 is the green part is much more, and this means there are less noise in here, and there are many less noise in here, so that means there are voice generated in figure 2. And the similarity between them is that the higher amplitude of the three cases are located around 140 Hz, which is the fundamental frequency. And the variation of the fault will be capable in case of sending or subscribing an object. Like, you can see that the color of the red is much brighter during the time. So, but the difference in figure 2, we can see that there are a higher sound intensity have been recorded at. Besides a higher sound intensity have been recorded at 440 Hz, there are a second highest sound intensity have been recorded around 220 Hz, which is perfectly matched to our frequency of the undertone sound. And this phenomenon does not show in the figure 1 and figure 3. And significantly, the vibration of paper generates more noise, which is the undertone sound, except the undertone sound, and then figure 1 and figure 3. And since we are partly to investigate the exact frequency of the undertone sound with STFT, FFT test will be used instead, which is stand for the fast Fourier transform. We will compare the signal from this origin domain over time and space, and this time in our cases, that will be presented in the frequency domain, and this is the graph. So we can see that we are using 256 Hz tuning fork in this case, and we can see that this thing is the peak, and we can see this is the fundamental frequency, except that we can see some peak or around lower than fundamental frequency has a similar amplitude to the fundamental frequency. And at around 130 Hz, 88 Hz, and 69 Hz, the amplitude is higher of that equal phase, which is the frequency is similar to the undertone sound of 236 Hz. So after that, we will do some parameters to further investigate. So this is our parameters. So this is our experience setup. We will fix our size of the paper used as plan to fix it, and we will change the drive and the length of it. So this is our experience. So we count the experience with around 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4 of the fundamental frequency, and this is the experience result. And we change the length and width. And as we can see that the frequency of the undertone sound slightly increases when the length of the width of the paper increases. And so that the mass, we can have a conclusion that the mass of the paper increases, the frequency of the undertone slightly increases. And we also test different phases of the tuning fork touching the paper. And we can see results. We can see that the distance from the touching point to the fixed point increases, the frequency of the undertone sound decreases, as you can see that. And so it can be explained by the tuning fork that when lower distance from the fixed point, paper deflects less, and easier for the paper to rebound back, and frequency slightly increases. So we also test the frequency of the tuning fork in contact, and we test the frequency with the subscribe mask. So we increase the subscribe mask by adding different flags of net onto the tuning fork, and we test the frequency of the tuning fork and we record the frequency with the greatest end. And this is the graph here. And we have good. And because the weighting sensor has its own mass, so we calculate the submass in our analysis. So we can plot this graph in there. And on the experiment, as we reduce the mass of slide to the tuning fork on, and then the record frequency decreases, and the fundamental frequency of a free tuning fork is like this. So Other day we will do a comparison. So as we can see that all this frequency, all the undertone frequency we have tested, we have analyzed that is similar to the typical undertone frequency, which is this. Whatever we change the band in the real world, even change the touching point, so we can equal. So the theoretical frequency of the undertone is similar to our experience. And after that, we have simulated the vibration of the single arm of 24 by force vocal. And this simulation actually defines an numerical calculation of the field in theoretical formula which can animate the influence of the environment and the instability of the instrument. And the similar results show that the frequency will decrease as the subscribe mark increase. So if we compare it, the instrument we have here, and the theoretical result and the simulation, it perfectly match. So in conclusion, our tuning force and the tuning force by paper undertone sound focus. The paper have good contact with, and the paper have a good contact with the tuning force. That's why the paper vibrate with the same frequency as the undertone. And we have talking about the subscribe mass and paper subscribe mass on the tuning force when we have a good contact, and the fundamental frequency of the tuning force decreases. And also, the vibration of the tuning fork also emphasizes the overtone, but we are not going to discuss this. So this is our area that we discussed. As we can see that the size of the paper and the pace of the touching paper affect the frequency of the undertone. The subscribe mass affect the frequency of the fundamental frequency. And this is our explanation.
Questions from the opponent?
How did you dash your papers uniform? Sorry. How did you dash it? How did you put your uniform near the paper?
For example, use the tuning fork.
Okay, and you use mechanical uniform or electrical one? So you use electrical uniform or mechanical? Just uniform. Okay, and so could you open the slide number 11? Okay, and 11. 11. Okay, what is the depends of what and what? Right. And what is the independent variable here?
What do you mean?
Independent variable.
Independent variable. Y-axis means the mass.
Mass of what?
In kg of the subscribe mass.
Okay, yes, and could you open your slide number 22? And there we saw your sound and did you estimate the noise level? Noise level.
Noise level. We use dB to this one.
So could you repeat?
So
You here see this a high noise level. Did you estimate?
every compare with
Okay, so and slide 818. The first one, if we see the undertone sound on the 88 hertz. Press, the last one. Yeah, 88.
The tuning also vibrate. The tuning also vibrate means sometimes without frequency, that's the energy of it is much smaller even compared to when we vibrate.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Igor Koch, and now I'm going to present you my acquisition to problem number 3, Undertone Sound. And first, I'd like to show you the report summary. As a quality explanation of the report, I think that he could explain the motion of the tuning fork, but I think that he didn't explain the influence of the paper on that effect and why do we need that paper and why do we hear the undertone sound because of it. Also, I think that the theoretical model of the report includes only the beam oscillations as the tuning fork, and he paid too much attention to the beam oscillations without the paper. And as we were asking the problem set, we need to add paper, and we see the undertone frequency about it, and also we didn't see anything in theory how the reporter put that paper into it, and how it influenced in the theoretical model too, and also the reporter didn't even explain how he had his experimental data and how he defined his theoretical undertone frequencies. In his experiment, he used Fourier transform to obtain the frequencies that are increased, but I think that on his spectrograms we saw very high level of noise, and it's really difficult to define that is the undertone sound or it's the level of noise, especially when that frequencies are not so high increased. Also, I think that to solve the problem, I think that the reporter need to use the filter of his signal and define the frequencies back in this way. Also, his comparison with the theoretical model of this experiment wasn't so obvious. He just showed us the results and in the table, and we didn't see any dependence, and he didn't explain even why do we hear some dependencies. He showed us the dependence on the three different characteristics of the one parameter, and I think it's even difficult to analyze if what is the dependence here. And the parameter that the reporter in this case is the paper parameters, it's width and length, and also the place of contact, and I think that the parameters are good, and they will influence on the effect, but the reporter didn't explain how it influences. And also I think that the set parameter as the stiffness of paper can influence on the effect, as it will influence on the oscillations on over the paper and the moments when you touch the tuning fork. And now I'd like to move on to the discussion with the reporter. Okay, the reporter. Why do we hear exactly that undertone sound? What is the reason?
In a normal tuning fork, we set the fundamental frequency. We also generate something, not only sound.
And if we don't have any paper, why would we hear that sound?
It's because of the tuning fork.
Okay, and also do we hear the sound without paper?
It's because the paper amplified.
And how it amplifies?
For example, if a tuning fork vibrates, for example, a paper vibrates, touch on the tuning fork will continue. And after you burn, the tuning fork vibrates twice, not third, but fourth time. And after that, the paper contact.
Okay, you mean the sound is produced by the hits of paper with the tuning fork, yeah? Okay, and don't you think that hits can happen with different frequencies? So, for example, okay, let's try. For example, you the tuning fork vibrates as sine, and the paper hits it in the maximum point of its trajectory. It will bound, and it can hit it in the trajectory where it's the loss of the tuning fork is less, and it will bound smaller than, and the frequency will be smaller between the hits.
But in this case, the fundamental if the paper vibrates touch here, the amplitude will be much lower than.
Okay, and you said that the hits of the paper is the main reason for the sound, and it's really matters for us only when our frequency, only when the paper hits our tuning fork. It's only matters for us when our tuning fork hits the paper, and we'll hear sound on the moment. Okay. I mean that when our tuning fork vibrates, it hits the paper, and the paper if it hits when the tuning fork has the maximal velocity, it will hit the paper harder, and it will bound on the with bigger amplitude, and the time between the two hits can be different because of the moments when the tuning fork hits it, and I think that that frequency can be different during the different hits, and that we can see that we won't see one frequency on every. And did you consider the motion of paper during your report? So, and how it moves.
So,
How the paper moves during the experiment.
maybe press on the
Okay, and did you can see it more include the video or something like that? What is the amplitude of the oscillation factor?
We have considered it, but
Okay, and is the amplitude of the paper is the same during all the experiment?
no. But
Okay,
it's
why?
similar.
And why it's different?
That's because we cannot keep the paper of the base constant for even a slightly change of the paper.
No, I mean during one experiment. Okay, then I think that the reporter's explanation of the sound object is not full because it happens not because we have the subharmonics of the tuning fork. It happens because the tuning fork hits the paper and that hits produces sound. And that hits can happen not just with some frequency, but each single hit happens with different time, and we can say only of something like average frequency. And also I'd like to talk about theoretical model of the reporter. So how did you estimate your tone frequency in the from your theory?
Which frequency?
You showed us comparison with experiment. How did you get it frequencies?
You mean the undertone frequency of the fundamental?
Undertone frequencies.
So it's just the formula that we have mentioned. You mean the theoretical frequency?
Yeah.
So we have shown that. So we have shown that the frequency is like.
Okay, and why can you say that the frequency will be equal? So why can you say that the frequency will depend like that?
So we have mentioned that like this is monitor and this is paper, and the paper has a weak content of the what you require.
Okay.
And if after the tuning fork has target 3 or 4 times we touch the tuning fork.
Okay, and why can you say that n is must be the real, not real integer number?
Because the times that the paper touches the tuning fork must be.
Why?
Yeah, it's not the, but the most significant. The amplitude is the most significant.
Okay, so since the reported estimation that the undertone frequency will be equal to just the frequency of the tuning fork divided by some integer is incorrect because there is no any explanation why we can use that estimation and why the paper will hit it with the frequency which is divided by some integer. And also I'd like to talk about your data estimation. Could you open your slide with your spectrograms?
Which time?
Which is asked you in my qualifying questions, 18. Where you should spectrums and the accepted super. Okay, here. Not 2012. 2012. Okay, here. How did you obtain this? For example, that hit is the undertone frequency, but not the noise.
So, because of the amplitude.
So, but your noise have very big amplitude oscillation.
Because we are testing the same at the same amplitude. First of all, it's a very quiet environment, and it can.
But you show in answer spectrum and you see that the level of noise is really big.
It's not really very.
Okay, and so did you try to use some filters to clarify your data?
Yes.
And why don't you apply it?
But But this is not the most significant. This does not affect the result very much because the amplitude of the undertone sound is much larger than the noise.
Okay, and something that we can say for each of the undertone frequency is much larger than the noise, but we see that the noise is really high and it's difficult to obtain data from the spectrum. And so you just like Fourier transform to the spectrum, yeah. Fourier transform for the spectrums you apply. Oh no, that's really Fourier transform. Okay, and why we have, for example, that we have increase in the, it's not just a 5, but we have some, that not only the one frequency increases.
In which frequency?
Okay, for example, we really see that not only that frequency is increased, but for example, all that we have something like smooth peak. Why do we see that we have not only one peak or undertone frequency, but something like smooth? We have not one frequency increase, but several of them.
Because it's actually not increased so much. As you can see that this is much lower.
Okay, so I think that the reported spectrum is incorrect, and we can't get the data from it. But also, I think that the way is from the spectrum we see that not only the one frequency increases, but we have some separate frequencies of near some values that is increased because of the randomness of hits in the both tuning fork and paper, which leads to the fact that we have the smooth peak and the Q factor of the system increases. Okay, and so could you show us the investigation of your tuning fork fundamental frequency?
Investigation.
Knowledge related to this measure. How did you change the so you calculate the tuning fork frequency as the and add mass to it end, yeah? You add mass to the end of the tuning fork.
In the investigation of the fundamental principles.
Okay, and why you can say that it will be continuing to be as late as a ring if it has some extra mass on the end? Okay, I can move on to the summary. Okay, so during our discussion with the reporter, we discussed his qualitative explanation, and I said that that explanation is incorrect, and the influence of the paper is really significant here, and it happens because of the case of paper because of with the tuning fork, but it's not just something like it included the and just something like divided by some integer. It happens because of the hits, and the hits can happen depend on the amplitude of paper oscillations. And also we discussed his theoretical model, and he didn't show us how he obtained the formula and how he can add paper here and how the paper influence on the effect, and how even he can compare the parameter dependencies on that for the experiment. And also we discussed his experimental part, and I think that he has too high a level of noise and it can be applicable to that, and that's a gold standard for that.
Questions from the side of the reviewer, please? Okay, so hello ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bodan Yushic from the Slovakia. Today I reviewed the task number 3. So the first question is for the opponent. What exactly is n in this formula?
And it's just the integer as a product set which is the fundamental frequency of the
Okay, thank you. And so you stated that this formula is incorrect.
I'm saying that the product can explain why we use it. Okay. I think that it won't be that just exactly the frequency divided by some integer.
Okay. Then you've been both talking about some added mass. So please, Mr. Reporter, what is added mass in your?
So added mass when the paper element we contact with the tuning fork. At the moment that the tuning fork has been contact with the paper, we can consider it has the paper of the mass has applied at that moment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on the slide number 19, please. There are three main points at the end of the frequential spectra. No, on the right side. Yes, could they be due to your theoretical model? Because they are pretty clear that. What are these?
It's not one of the part of the violation of the tuning fork. It's just some.
What is?
It's just something that we can omit that. It's not a part of the tuning fork violation.
Okay, but it appears only in that region for the left one and in the right one. So, do you have any clear qualitative explanation? Okay, so what are undertone frequencies for you from this one?
We have the spec at like
Okay, so these are the undertone frequencies you have been then analyzing.
It's 88, around 88, 100, 46, and 200.
Could you show me on the graph what is undertone sound? And why? Because there is too much noise.
This is not actually noise, this is also an undertone, but we are the most.
And did you get back the background noise in order to clearly see the?
We do it in a very science space, so I think that there's no noise. And this, what we call noise is actually the imperfect undertone sound.
Thank you. So, hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bodan Mišević, and today I'll review the task number 3, undertone sound. So, the problem statement is, allow a tuning fork or another simple oscillator to vibrate against a sheet of paper with a weak contact between them. The frequency of the resulting sound can have a lower frequency than the tuning fork's fundamental frequency. Investigate this phenomenon. Well, the first things first, we've been introduced into some theoretical model. However, we didn't really see any clear explanation of this theoretical model, and we didn't see any clear comparison with their experiments. Yes, we've seen some tables of frequency and from theoretical model as well as from their experiments. However, we haven't seen any clear correlation, and even the opponent didn't demand to see any of these. We've been introduced into fundamental frequency of the tuning fork. However, I believe that reporter could have showed us more clear explanation of the fundamental frequency of the tuning fork, because it's pretty easy describable by formulas of calculating the fundamental frequency, which are dependent on the second moment of area of the tuning fork, as well as the modulus or density, and therefore he could have changed some parameters, or maybe he could use absolutely different oscillators, such as maybe some vibrating plate, and then trying to solve this problem for different frequencies, not just with one tuning fork. Also, on the slide 22, we see that there is clearly some background noise. However, we didn't really. Reporter didn't try to get rid of it. And also on the slide 40 we have seen some data. However, from the theoretical model and the experiments, however, he didn't compare them, and we would really like to see the comparison, even if it wouldn't fit that much. It would be fine to see. Opponent showed us pretty nice opposition. He demanded to see the explanation for this formula. However, we still didn't see what exactly is the explanation. Also, we demanded the background noise to be filtered, and we believe that that it was fine, and we would like to see it as well. In the discussion, they were talking about the collisions of the paper and tuning fork, and yes, that was pretty clear and nice one. But as we have showed on the graph, there were clear 3 points which could be there due to just collision of the paper on the vibrating tuning fork, and we believe that it could be shown. Also, they've been determining the undertone frequencies, namely on the slide 22, and we think that even though opponent can go even further, it was much more clear from the opposition. Thank you for your attention.
Concluding remarks, please.
I have to explain that the tuning fork because of the vibration frequency of the tuning fork is actually combined with different sound waves, including 100 and 200, 200, something like that. And the formation of the undertone sound is as the formation of the undertone sound is actually origin the tuning fork of this sound. And the undertone sound we have, because why we have here the undertone sound is actually because the paper can amplify the undertone sound. And what we have, and the noise that the reviewer and the opponent has said that is actually not the real noise. And because we have the experiment is carried out in a silent environment, so that the effect of the background noise on the result is minimal. And the noise we have, the opponent and the reviewer has said actually the imperfect undertone sound. That means that the paper rebound off and the vibration and the tuning fork has vibrated for like 3.7, 2.8, and rebound that. And this caused the undertone sound has a very different frequency with the theoretical undertone frequencies. And finally, this equation is actually this why the ratio of the undertone sound with the fundamental frequency is 1/n. This actually only applied on the perfect undertone sound. So I think that we have a very nice discussion with the opponent, and the reviewer has given such a good opinion, and this is how.
Thank you very much. So we have now 5 minutes questions from the side of the jury. May I start? I have a question to the reporter. What creates the undertone sound? What creates the undertone sound?
The tuning fork is, like as I just said, the tuning fork is the most with different sound waves, and the fundamental frequency of the sound waves is much the amplifier, much have the most with the field, and because of the paper. Because of the weak content of the paper, it amplify the undertone sound.
Okay. May I have an answer again as well from the opponent?
Okay, so the tuning fork hit the paper, and that heat produces sound. And then paper oscillates and hit it again and again and again, and we hear that sound.
As I understood, you said the sound mainly comes from the tuning fork. The paper is an amplifier. Where does it come, the sound? Where does it come from?
Okay, it's because of heat, and in the moment of heat it comes from.
Okay. And to the reviewer?
Well, I have to mostly agree with the opponent that the tuning fork keeps hitting the paper and pushing it farther than it can come back, and therefore it makes the unclear sound during this hitting, during these collisions with the tuning fork.
Thank you very much. Questions?
Yes, that's the equation, the Euler equation. Did you write it for the paper or the tuning fork?
Just for the tuning fork.
you mentioned that the paper was not considered. What physical properties of the paper should be considered?
Okay, I think that it has some, when it oscillates, it has some natural frequency and it can move and has some force which turns back, and we need to know the moment when it turns back. And for example, we can model it as a membrane, and it can oscillate, and we need to know the acceleration which appears when it bounces from our from the tuning fork. Okay. Yeah.
Could you comment on the phenomenon of resonance? Resonance, yeah. In this situation with the tuning fork, is there any resonance? Is it important?
I think yes, yeah.
I think that it's not exactly the resonance, because our tuning fork can hit papers in different points of the trajectory, and that means that we won't have resonance, because it's not the only one frequency will be increased.
Well, I believe that we could calculate what would be the resonant frequency of the sheet of paper, and then maybe comparing it with frequencies we've taken from our experiments. But I don't know exactly what is the resonant frequency of a sheet of paper. Therefore, I cannot compare.
The question asks, this is to the reporter, the question asks to contemplate weak contact. What would you consider to be weak contact?
The paper is not exactly.
Thank you. Parent, would you agree with that?
I think that until the paper length is, as the paper is long, its amplitude oscillation is much bigger than the tuning fork's oscillation. It can be applied that we have weak contact because it's only in the area where tuning fork can be oscillated.
I have a question to the reviewer. The opponent said that the paper might be modeled as a membrane. As I saw, there were very long pieces of paper. What else could be used as a model, for example?
Like something different from a sheet of paper, or okay. So
as a membrane, is there something else that you consider?
We could also use maybe the aluminium foil, or if you asking that what exactly what else could be used?
Another idea how to model it. If it's a very long piece of paper.
A very thin beam.
Okay. Any more questions? I got hands all right, so let's go for the next. We have 4, a 3, a 3, a 4, and a 2.
Then the remarks for
We have a 6, a 7, a 7, a 6, and another 7. And then the marks for the review. A 7, a 6, a 6, a 5, and another 6. Yep. Okay, first of all, some comments to the report. In between 2 and 4, possibly something to the lowest 2.
Unfortunately, it was not the best report I have heard on the YTD. So, why so low? I grade 1.5 for the report because it was almost no, it was no qualitative explanation of the phenomena. We couldn't understand why the sound, and the sound of what must be lower, and what is the reason. So the theory model was also inconsistent because it has no concern with the explain phenomenon. There was, of course, some relevant experiments, but you changed only the size of paper, and of course, with the size you also change the mass. So you change together two parameters and do not fix one of them. After that, so task fulfillment is only partially because we cannot understand do you really achieve the undertone sound or not because of the very great value of your noise. And so it's only 1.5. After that I saw no discussion with the opening. It was only like monologue of the opening. It was there was no answering the questions. Both for jury I marked -1 because there was not answered the question about the resonance. If you says about the resonance, of course you have to know what is it. So in total.
Thank you. Mostly a short comment for my 4. I have to say I rounded 4 up. Basically, I actually found it okay to really show how the tuning fork works. And the beam theory is fine. And that is the crucial point for me. I mean, the beam theory for me is an interesting thing that could be added for papers straight afterwards too. And at some point you have to know what these frequencies are, so the upper tones and what could be expected. The same thing could have been applied to the paper. So basically, good ideas were in, and I consider this. And it was not really pointed out, I mean, partly your position, but that is again a strength for you because you were on the right way. So I take it forward. So your position, we were quite consistent. There were 6s and highest 7. Possibly I was one of the highest 6. I mean, I appreciate when you go to the whiteboard and you directly start to sketch, and at some point you stopped it and you turned around and you gave your opinion. But try to work it out with your partner and be together with him. Because at some point you felt right with the paper that has a crucial role to play, and I guess you have to make him collaborate and make him play the game with you. And that's what I want to see at some point, because you're absolutely on the right track. I guess 5 to 7.
Yes, I want to add, yes, of course, you have to try to make the reporter to ask the questions, yes, because you make a question and you answer it yourself. It's not really.
Okay, then for the review, I had the highest 7. The first part was great, good questions, and a very good part for the report, how you analyze this one. Then to your position, I wasn't so satisfied with that part, and towards the end, there was just missing the physics. So the first part was spent a lot of time, was done greatly, that was really cool, and then there could be much more could be done in the physics afterwards. And that's what you have to know too. Yes. There was one lowest 5.
I gave 5 because I didn't agree with some of this cons of the presentation, because you wrote that there result presented in tables. I understood it as advantage. In my opinion, results should not be presented in tables. There are plots to show diagrams. Tables are unclear.
But I told us, didn't I, that
Okay, so thank you very much, and I have to say, if you can go on playing like this, that you really check the clock and organize yourself this way, I'm completely happy, because that makes my job easier. And if you have questions,